Welcome everybody to the warm-up playoff edition. This is a great time of year for Texas high school football, so naturally we need to get you warmed up. Hey, we've reached the regional finals, which means 2 more weeks until state. Let's take a look at some great fourth-round matchups in the Louisiana Hot Sauce Hot Zone. They've met 10 times in the past 7 years. North Shore and Atascocita are back at it again in the 6A Division I Region 3 final. Earlier this year, North Shore won the district matchup with the Eagles by 26 points, and they've won 7 straight in this series. However, they don't play the games in the history books. They play them on the field, and that field will be Pasadena's Veterans Memorial Stadium, and it'll be this Saturday afternoon. The Mustangs started off slow in their first 2 playoff games this season before turning it on in the second half. That was not the case in last weekend's game against Cy-Fair. North Shore took the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, never let their foot off the gas the rest of the way. They won it going away, 42-9. The Mustangs went through quarterback Caleb Bailey in last week's game after having 2 straight 200-yard rushing games from DeAndre Hardiman in the first 2. They'll be facing an Atascocita team whose defense tightened up last weekend against Lamar, limiting the Texans to just 14 points. The defense is where the Eagles have had their issues down the stretch, as they let up an average of 42 points a game in their 4 games before Lamar. They're going to have to keep North Shore to 30 or less if the Eagles want to stay in this one. If it becomes a track meet, Atascocita could be in big trouble. In the 6A Division II Region 3 final, Summer Creek takes on Fort Bend Hightower. Really feels like Summer Creek is the team of destiny this year. Everything's been working for the Bulldogs thus far. They're 12-1 with the lone loss being a 10-point defeat to North Shore. In the postseason, the Bulldogs have only given up 15 points total and haven't had much competition in those 3 games. The ground attack is firing in all cylinders behind quarterback Blake Thomas and running back Lloyd Avant. Hightower is an interesting opponent. Despite being 12-1, the Hurricanes have been relatively under the radar since their loss to Ridge Point. That comes from really the lack of competition in 26A, but they've beaten the teams on their schedule and in the playoffs. Hightower has proven they can win close games as well. The Hurricanes have an X-factor of their own by the name of Jeremy Payne. The TCU commit can hurt you in the ground attack and the passing game, as he's an excellent receiver out of the backfield. This game will take place Saturday afternoon at Cy-Fair's FCU Stadium.
The Hot Zone is presented by the original Louisiana brand hot sauce. When you need to bring the heat, make all your game day snacks better with Louisiana hot sauce. Inside High School Sports is brought to you by the TaxAct Texas Bowl. Get your tickets today at taxacttexasbowl.com. Warm up your game day with the authentic flavors of ancient cooking. So thin, so crisp, so good, Xochitl.
We caught up with Ridge Point's athlete Mason Dossett on the recruiting trail, presented by Xochitl, Chips and Salsa.
My name is Mason Dossett. I play receiver in DB, and I go to Ridge Point High School. The reason I really why I chose Baylor was just because of the coaching staff. Coach Veranda, Coach Paul. They've all been great to me. Since when they first offered me, they've shown me love this whole way. I wouldn't want to play for any other coaches. I see myself as a leader on the field, not more so locally, but just leading by actions. I like to fish a lot. I would say that's probably like the most stuff I do outside of sports and stuff like that. So definitely fishing. Really I just want to be known, just as a leader, a good person. When people think of me, that's what I hope people think of. Just a kind, just a kind dude. Just being a leader. So, I hope when I leave, that's what people think of me.
Here's some other big playoff games to keep an eye out for in the hype. St. Thomas is going for a TAPS state title this Friday afternoon for the first time since 2001. They will face off against defending state champs Parish Episcopal. That'll be up at Waco ISD Stadium. The Eagles soared into the final with an absolute offensive explosion last week against Plano Prestonwood as they beat the Lions 73-62. Both teams combined to score 63 points in the fourth quarter alone. How about that? Vanderbilt commit Johan Cardenas set the St. Thomas record book on fire with 457 yards and 7 touchdowns. If the senior runs for half that much Friday, the Eagles should be in good shape. The offense runs through quarterback Dante Lewis, who can hurt you with his legs and his arm. St. Thomas will go into this game with Parish Episcopal as the underdog. Would it be a bad idea to count this team out? They are still unbeaten on the season. Belleville is in the 4A Division II Region 3 final, that against Jasper Friday night. It'll be their first regional final since 2015. The Grammars are about as hot as any team in any classification in the state. Belleville's 13-0. They've been manhandling every team they face with their misdirection running game that opponents just can't seem to figure out. They've outscored their competition 177-14 in 3 postseason games, and 2 of the 3 teams they faced were ranked. D.D. Murray and Sam Rindicke have combined for 54 touchdowns on the year and got a couple each last week. The Brahma defense is led by DJ Sanders, a huge 4-star defensive lineman. It's impossible to contain. Belleville will be a huge favorite this Friday night at Woodforest Bank Stadium.
Inside High School Sports is brought to you by the TaxAct Texas Bowl. Get your tickets today at TaxActTexasBowl.com. Warm up your game day with the authentic flavors of ancient cooking. So thin, so crisp, so good, Xochitl.
Let's take a look back at who won our defensive title belt. Plus, see who might come home with one this week in the Buzz. Last week, we saw Atascocita take home the defensive title belt. The Eagles shut out Lamar in the first half and held the Texans to just 14 in the second half in a 20-point win. This week, we may be looking at Hightower going for that title belt, as the Hurricanes are going to have to put on a defensive display in order to get by Summer Creek. Hightower has some studs to do it, but containing a team like the Bulldogs will take an extraordinary effort. Hey, that'll do it for today's show. Thanks for joining us. We hope you are now warmed up for more Texas high school football playoff action.